Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to part 2 of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV, the doubleheader of Weekend Warriors. We had the Formula 4s earlier on from Brands Hatch, and what a finish that was. We're going to see the same here again from Francorchamps in the SRFs. Well, it remains to be seen. Big fast flowing track, and these cars love to slipstream. All the ingredients are there for a great race ahead of us. I'm Tim Cox. Lewis Rea back in the virtual production trailer. Aaron Smith joins me for this week. But first off, before I start picking Aaron's brain about this one, let's take a little look at the championship standings, remind us where we are. Of course, into the latter stages now, and Drops Week starting to come into play if drivers have taken part in 9 or more races. That's denoted by the the column of numbers in the middle of the championship standings. Marco Panera leads the way, and well, it's going to take a lot to knock him off from there on 921 points. Jason Green languishing down in second, but that just shows the dominance that Marco Panera has had all season. Overstreet, she lies in third, way behind Jason Green, but this is where it gets close because 30 points behind is Dantas. Bradford Gould in with a shout, then Lasky not too far behind either, and Darlow, he's on 7 races, so still a lot of improvement from him. They've got Rodriguez, Wood and Andera running at your top 10. Across into Spec 2 now, and this is where things get a little bit more interesting. Not quite as dominant, but still quite dominant from Alan McCain. He leads the way on 571. Somewhat 80 points clear nearly of Ken Batley, who lies in second. Phil Berry is only 3 points behind Batley though, as we come into these closing 3 rounds of the season in third. Josh Justice, Wubka, Gibson, all very close to one another. Bit of a gap back to Paul Jackson. Then we've got Ferglini, Vogler, and Pocock to round out your top 10. Now, across into Masters, well, this one this season has just been thrown right open. So used to seeing the names of Race and Marnie and Murakami right at the top of the sheets. But this season, it's all about Tom Gradwell, and he is smashing things. Got an 81 point advantage over Antonio Race, but Race only taking part in 7 races so far this season. He's got room for improvement to easily close that gap down. Though he is tied for points on one Jim Brewster, who's also going for the Masters Championship in the Formula 4s that we saw earlier on. Can Jim do the double? Well, he doesn't quite know how he's up there, but he's absolutely ripping up trees this season. Brad Cathcart, he's in 4th, only 10 points behind the duo of Race and Brewster. Not far behind them, though, Stephen Mitchell, Yugmani languishing by his own high standards. Not the best of luck this season as a Swiss driver. He is in 6th. Then we've got Nunez, Longin, Murakami, who's won more championships than I've had hot dinners, down in 9th. Adam Bradshaw rounds out your top 10 here in Masters. But Spa tonight, Aaron, we're on the endurance pits, the old classic pit lane. And that makes it a really, really long transition. Not as long as it could be with the full pits, but still, it's the longer of the two options available, and that makes these pit stops so crucial come race.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who actually likes this pit lane layout, to be honest. It's just, honestly, you go into the pits and it feels like you're there for about a year and a half. It's so long, and especially in the likes of GT cars as well. Where this layout is usually used, it's probably even worse there since pit stops are a bit more frequent than we've got today. But like you say, pit stops are going to be a crucial part. And, when you do come in, it's going to be a long old day for you as you anticipate the run at the top of Radion, and then as you come onto the Kemmel Straight. We could see some scary moments, maybe 2-3 wide as people come out of the pit lane, but let's hope everyone can keep it clean during the race.
This is the weekend Warriors, Aaron. I think there's no doubt that there's going to be 2 and 3 wides. Plenty, that's for sure. Qualifying, always a tricky one though at Spa with this long lap. 2 minutes 42.79 is the quickest so far by a left play. That'd be the first time the Cheshire driver will have been in pole in this series so far. However, I mean, with that long lap time, averaging, well, across our field, probably, let's call it 2 minutes 45 for round numbers. Means realistically, Aaron, you don't get many tries, certainly compared to tracks we've visited earlier in the season, like Road Atlanta Short, for example, or even Lying Rock, where, at sub 1 minute laps, you could get, well, potentially 20 laps in. Here today, you're looking at maybe 5 at very best.
Yeah, but at the same time, it gives us a lot of overtaking opportunities, I'd say, with these a little bit slower cars. And it's a fairly wide track. It's not the widest in the world, but it gives you enough room to go 2-3 wide through a lot of these corners. I wouldn't recommend it through the likes of Air Rouge and Radion, of course. But if you're feeling risky, you could make a cheeky move up the hill. And I don't doubt we'll see a few of those today. But I definitely think there's going to be plenty of overtakes around here. And because it's a long lap, we're going to get constant overtakes wherever you look, up and down the grid. But like you say, up down the Kemmel Straight, you're only going to have about 5 or 6 opportunities to make a move down there.
Just having a bit of a look up and down through the field right now. Marco Panero down in 12th. Then we've got Alan McCain. He's done completed 5 laps so far. All of them been deleted. Yogmani completed 2 laps. All times deleted for him, as Bobby West just moves up into 6th place there. Andreas Mattoni, he's back. He won't qualify. How many places can he make up of? It's always fascinating to watch him. Dantas, he's had all his times deleted too. Vlad Schlusel, someone we've seen, skirting around those top 10 positions. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of drivers out of position to see Overstreet well down. That's what I say about Marco Panero, worrying about him. He says, hold my beer. Watch this, and goes. Attempt slower than Blaver to go up onto the front row. Paolo Gori finally gets the time in to go 6th place. 3rd row of the grid. But yeah, Leandro Pinheiro, not set a time yet. They've all been deleted, but as he comes across the line, maybe he'll get this one in. Yes, he does, as he goes 3rd. Well, I talk about all or nothing. Look at how the 1,000 per second separating Panero and Pinheiro.
Yeah, honestly, we were just talking about the lap length. Oftentimes with these really long lap times, the gaps can be quite big, but then you've got the top 3 all within a tenth of each other, which just goes to show how competitive I think today could be, especially for the likes of a podium and a race win between those 3. And the midfield looking super close. I mean, from 7th down to about 12th is a 10th again. You've got 7 cars who, maybe mess up on 1 or 2 corners, who could easily overtake each other. And honestly, that's the beauty of a series like Weekend Warriors, where everyone's super close, everyone can have an opportunity to do well. And like you were saying, with a couple people out of position, it gives us a chance to have some really good racing. And there was a car on the curb there at Lacombe, but just managed to avoid him going past.
I think that might have been Andrea Fabini, if my eye... I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. No, it wasn't. I'm not too sure who that was. Either. Alan McCain won the Drivers' Leader in the Spec 2 class championship. And well, at the moment, look at this. No time on the board, having completed 6 laps in qualifying, all of them being deleted due to track excursions. Time running out here. So we've got 3 minutes remaining. Realistically, he's got, what, a couple of more laps left in him to try and set a time. Just try to, you know, move himself up through the field, because as we know in this series, it can get a little bit treacherous down in the midfield, especially with these big grids. We're looking at roughly about 43 cars with us tonight, so not the biggest that we've had, but certainly by any other league standards, that is a mammoth grid.
Yeah, I was looking at that when we were entering the lobby, and I was just like, oh god, you know, compared to what I'm used to, like F3 or 3.5, where we might get 20 or so people in each split, you know, 43 people to me is huge. I haven't seen numbers like that since we last did IGP Fun around a season or two ago, where we used to get the likes of 50. So yeah, it's always amazing to see leagues like this do well and get plenty of people joining in. It just means more for us, just more entertaining racing, closer racing, and like I said before, wherever you look, there's going to be something going on.
So just having a bit of look. Jim Brewster getting some on the board, moving up into 23rd. There is Marco Panero. Just moving to the right there, allowing Andrea Favini through. A bit of team tactics maybe going on there, and allowing Favini just to leap up through the orders. Just trying to see whereabouts he is. Currently 6th on the grid, so 3rd row. We'll try to hunt down and close up some of those gaps. Very easy, as he's saying, Aaron. You know, he's only, what, half a tenth behind Castro, who's no slouch whatsoever. Currently in 5th. There he is, the Texaco Racing by TK driver. The Brazilian, of course, Keita blows it into Lagos with Panero. Bit of net code, unfortunately, because that was looking like it's going to be an absolutely scintillating battle. But now we've got the perennial slipstream train. Everyone queuing up here, coming into the bus stop chicane. No one wanted to be ahead. 2 Brazilians involved there, Castro and Dantas. Les Plaver, the car at the rear of this train, and a 49 machine there. At the front is the 120 of Leandro Pinheiro. Look at that, 3 Brazilians. Oh, the 4. Oh, well, that's Pinheiro's lap gone.
I was very surprised with what he was doing there. Not 100% sure what he was doing there, but good thing for him that the starting start line is actually here instead of where it usually is.
Yes.
So yeah, he's lucky that he's not just ruined his lap. But either way, that was very, very strange. It's like he just didn't have any mirrors or just wasn't paying attention. But that was utterly strange. But there's Paleva getting a bit of slipstream, and probably the most crucial place to get slipstream on the entire circuit, as it can gain you, I'd say, around 3 or 4 tenths of a second, and very, very late on the brakes. And I think this, you know, these final few minutes is where we're going to see drivers pushing it the most. We might see drivers pushing it too hard. Who knows? But these last minute or two of qualifying, whatever series you're doing, is always the most entertaining, as, well, anyone could grab pole and have an absolutely godlike lap.
Just to give you an idea on temperatures here today, 33 degrees Celsius. Yajbino just heading up into 5th there. Of course, secured the win earlier on in the Formula Fords. 91 degrees Fahrenheit for track temperature, if you're of the Imperial or the Freedom Unit persuasion. There you go. So definitely, you know, not the warmest, but certainly not the coldest. Slap bang in the middle here at Spa. And we've got, you know, next to no wind, so that's going to help the drivers just in terms of stability and predictability when they arrive at each of the corners. No tailwinds or headwinds just catching out, or even side winds for good measures too. So on board with the Les Plaver, completing out his lap. Around the back of the circuit. He's on a quick one as well. I've just been pointed out by our producer Lewis. Let's see how we get on here. Just winding the car up now. We've got a bit of a slipstream from the driver ahead of us. I think that's Dudu Castro from memory. Serves me right, just ahead of us. There we go. And the car's moving wide around. These guys come flying through. I think that was Bobby West there, just moving to one side. These guys on a charge down in towards the bus stop. Pick your braking marker, go for it. And is he going to be held up just a little bit? Maybe. Is this going to be the difference here? I mean, Pinero's done. Pinero's done as well with qualifying. Lasky too. So what is Plaver going to do? Is he going to extend his gap at the top and secure pole position? Well, I've got a little longer to find out because catching him out, as always, the source is not turn one on this track layout. Here we go. Down the hill now, using that momentum to carry with him. What sort of lap time are we going to pull out here? Castro helping him all the way to the line. And does he go faster? 142.79, well, 41.75. Wow. What a lap from the Cheshire driver. And that shows, you said, Aaron, about the slipstream being powerful and worth, what, 2 or 3 tenths? Well, I think that's just down the Kemmel Straight alone based on that. What a lap. What a lap from Plaver.
Yeah, he didn't even need to as well, realistically. I think he just about would have been ahead of Castro, who also improved. Actually, no, I don't think he would have. So he did have to improve. My apologies there, but I mean, he did improve and improved by just a tiny bit. But
that's a good point. I didn't even spot Dudu Castro there, just casually slapping it on the front row with Plaver.
Yeah, I didn't either. We were too focused on the fact that he went a second quicker. Yeah, that's an outstanding lap time from Plaver. Like I said, he didn't have to improve by that much, but hey, he pushed and he got the reward for it, so fair play to the man. That is incredible stuff.
Wow. Talk about your lap coming together just at the right moment. There's Yogmani. He's going to start down in 14th. A bit more respectful where we normally expect to see him. Of course, struggled in the early stages of qualifying, having all his lap times deleted due to track excursions. It's only not setting times is Andres Bertoni, but that's no surprise from number 11. Never see him set a time. Watch him coming from the back as always. Gianni Longin. I got 5 laps in, but unfortunately all those times deleted, sadly, for him. As we just finish off the session of qualifying. 1 second. There we go. We're going to roll over now into the race session. Let's take you through your grid of how the runners and riders are going to start here tonight. And what I can tell you, Let's Play that will be on pole. There we go. Astounding lap at the end. Dudu Castro joins him on the front row. Then it's Marco Pinero on row 2 with Lando Pinero joining him on row 2 on 4th place. Kane Lasky is Yatabino for company. 3 Brazilians there on the left side of the grid. Then we've got Andrea Favini and Simon May on row 4. Row 5, running out top 10 is Vice Uzel and Paolo Gori. Jason Green, he's got Bobby West for company on row 6. Row 7, that sees Andrew Love with fellow Masters driver Yogmani. In fact, Love being the highest qualifier in Masters. Vandro Jans, that's one of the many Brazilians we have in this series on row 7 with Phil Berry. So row 8, even row 9 being Megan Overstreet, second earlier on the Formula Ford, sorting well down for her. Alexa for Claudio Gardini. Daniel Salmon, the Canadian, he's got Jeff Richer alongside him. On row 10, ran out the top 20. Then it's Luca Leone and your championship leader in spec 2, Alan McCain. Ken Bally and Flavio Andalo on row 12. Row 13, unlucky for some, hopefully not for Mark Carter and Stephen Mitchell. Jim Brewster is alongside fellow Masters driver Ed Dalton in row 14. Row 15, CC and Gibson next to Tom Gradwell. Then we've got Dan Wood and Rudnev. Row 16, row 17. Kevin Adrian, new driver to the series, the Mexican. Interesting to see how he gets on. He's next to Josh Justice. Then we've got Jeff Wilker and Gary Walbolt on row 18. Row 19, that sees Adam Bradshaw next to fellow Brett Paul Jackson. Those two well down. Bit of a surprise to them. So is Bradford Gould actually as well. In 39th on row 20 with Accentive. Right, that's top 40. And then we've got Justin Peer, another newcomer to the series. Andres Pizzoni, as I said earlier, keep an eye out for him. Row 21. Gianni Longin going to round out your 43 car field. Now we're on the short parade lap, so let's have a quick mention to our 2 sponsors for this series. First off, we have got, and I've lost my notes to read it out properly because I'm over the. There we go, RaceVoice. God bless RaceVoice. Long-time sponsor with this simple way to transform complicated performance data into easy to understand voice notifications and alerts with over 16 notifications, including up and down shift, override alert, corner entry, turning, and exit speed. It provides immediate feedback on driver and vehicle performance. And also we've got Apex Racing Academy, bit of a newcomer to this series. Well, second season deep, in fact. With 29 data packs, including setups, track guides, integration with VRS or virtual racing scores given by the full name. We also have weekly group coaching sessions, as well as one-on-one coaching sessions, and much, much more. Check them out if you want to go faster out on track. And well, safety car not hanging around whatsoever. That's got a bit of a mooch on. Spacing him out a little bit. Plaver controls the pace for the first time in the weekend Warriors. A great qualifying from him as the pack bunches up. And let's get ready to go racing from Spa Francorchamps in Belgium. Round 10 of the SRF. Weekend Warriors are green. They are go. And already I can see in the background they're 3 and 4 wide as we head down into Eau Rouge already on. Are they all going to make it through? Is there going to be a big, big shunt? The track pinches up. I can see brake lights just being dabbed there as they crest the top of the hill, but they've all made it through somehow, some way. And unless Plaver leads, but he's hugging the inside as they're going 3 wide at plenty. I think 3 or 4 sets, in fact, a 4 wide in the background there. And Plaver's going to lose the lead as Castro comes through, and Pinero's going to sneak through too. But what is Pinero going to do? Well, he's going to sneak it, just slot in behind Plaver. It's down in the midfield. Oh, Dan Salmon on his debut, up into 14th at 5 places already.
Yeah, he's done super well. This is the kind of opportunities that you get running up the top of the hill and all the way down the Kemmel Straight on lap 1 here at Spa. They're going side by side through here, and this is what I was talking about on this track. I think it's super simple to go 2 wide through most of these corners as we head down to Pouon. And Plaver there was just left so vulnerable in first place, but I have no doubt that he will be at least challenging the 2 ahead of him in the few coming laps that we have.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case, Aaron. It's just heading round the back of the circuit now. Also one of the, I say, newer additions. Been with us for many a decade now after the circuit was shortened. But we're going to rejoin the old circuit at Stavelot very shortly. Just about now, well timed while the driver's there. Castro leading the way from Pinero, Plaver down to 3rd. Then it's Pinero, Lasky, Tabino, Mayer. Well, this group lasting the entirety of the field right now. It's only Tom Gradwell who's had a bit of a shocker start. Something's happened to him. He's dropped 12 places. And the A driver is second. Actually, while I say that, Ian Gibson's had a bit of an issue there.
Yeah, I don't know if he's made contact with somebody else or he's just spun by himself. And judging by the fact there's another car there, well, I think maybe my answers have just come to me, as he may have made contact there with Gianni Login through the final few corners. And considering how many people were going 2 and 3 wide, it would not surprise me. But got about for 25th place right now. Luca Leone there, slotting in nicely. And I mean, this is what I mean about a grid full of drivers. It's so cool to see so many people. There's a Sen there from the 145, I believe. And Phil Berry got absolutely mullered into turn 1. And that's just the 145, I believe, yeah. Just completely missed his braking zone into turn 1 there. And I don't know if it was just lap 1, maybe was too focused on the cars ahead. And possibly has damage, yeah, as he's slowing right down. You can see the front of his car does not look healthy at all. And his straight line speed is going to be really badly affected on the straight that we're on right now.
Battles plenty down in the midfield here. There's Fly Schlusel. Oh, running in deep. That's Andrea Favini, who's missed his braking point there into Lacombe. Taking to the exit road. He's going to pick up a bit of a slowdown for that one. There goes Overstreet through. Jeff Fritcher as well in the 43 machine. In fact, your biggest gainer so far, well, it's that man. He's at it again. He's back, and he's back with a bang. Andreas Mattoni up 13 spots into 29th. He starts to pick his way through the field. Oh, somebody's out to Weissluzel, and Dantas dropping through the field. This group's going to pick up on them any second, I think, and maybe the aftermath of the incident. There's smoke in the air, and there was disaster afoot, but they've all moved on. Luckily, it's not going to affect things too much, but still, as they were up front, remaining one long line, but wow, a spinner in the background there. I think there was that Mark Carter potentially. Yeah, he's dropping through the order. I think it was.
Yeah, you just saw him in the background. Yeah, and I believe he's hit the wall. His car, once again, the front of that car does not look at all well. He went straight into the wall, and on the exit of Pill on there. It's a bit weird losing it on the exit like that. You're more likely to lose it in the middle of the corner. But maybe just got on a curb and maybe applied the throttle a bit too aggressively and just spun the car around. But he's still got the fighting spirit, still fighting Gibson, and is also defending from Rudnev behind. And here's Daniel Salmon up into 10th place. He's got many cars in his rearview mirror. That's not a scary sight at all as a driver, as he's going to have to defend into the bus stop chicane from the drivers behind. Mani seems to be his challenger at the moment. He defends well into this corner, but like I said, as a driver, you know, seeing that many cars in your mirror is just probably one of the most scary and worst feelings, as he's going to be so vulnerable come onto the Kemmel Straight.
Some big names in this group behind stalwarts of this series. You've got Marnie, Overstreet, Green, Favini, all in this group. Gardini, he's been around the block a fair few times. So is Jeff Fritcher, who's trying to get the move done on Gardini. In fact, I think he's just ahead. Maybe if Gardini's going to lift. Yes, he is. He just yields the place there to the American, allows him through on the entry into Eau Rouge to come out of Radion. Well, it's too wide. Is Blaver going to make it free wide? Thinks about it, tucks in behind Castro. Pinero on the inside there. Is he going to get hung out to dry? Pinero has a bit of a look as well. But they remain as they were. But this top six starting to really break away now. 3 Brazilians in that top six. As we see here, Salmon, well, he's lost a place. That's Marnie finally ahead. What can the Swiss Masters driver, your leader in Masters, in fact, up into 10th now, 4 places. This little group working well together, gaining a lot of places. The only exception being Jason Green at the rear, who's dropped for 4 in this stage. And that's Marmani. He's cursed the commentator. He preys on someone, and then all of a sudden it goes wrong for him.
Yeah, it's too much experience with that. He's just completely lost the car there, and I'm not 100% sure who he actually made contact with. I believe it was either Favini or Gardini. I'm not 100% sure. But he's still going, but I imagine with at least some kind of suspension and bodywork damage. As there is Fritzer trying to defend from Solman in 10th place. And, well, he overtook... I've lost it now. Manny, there we go. When he spun, but now, down the inside, there's contact, and let's hope the other cars behind can keep it clean. And big contact.
That's Jason Green there into the side of Fritcher. Other people caught up, and well, we get to showcase the Ford Spec Racers damage model there, but unfortunately at the expense of Green and Fritcher, who are on absolute blinding races there. Shame for them. It's bunched it, well, spread them out a little bit once again. Back up front, well, they're all having a good go. They're all queuing up to have a go, in fact. Here, Marco Pinero, Lasky ahead now. He's jumped 2 places. Pinero's remaining 4th. Plaver's dropped to 5th. Sabino's still at the rear of this group. And then I think this... No, it's not. I'm trying to work this one out. Yeah, that would be, in fact, Simon Mayer. In fact, well, he's got himself quiet. Bobby West too. Bobby West has climbed up 4 places so far, up into 8th. Gory involved as well, and well, that's when the next lane train is a bit of a gap. You can't see him in the distance. In fact, back to Dan Salmon. So I think your mind's had another incident out on track as it all gets a little bit close. It's all sides to push one another, and look. In all this battling, Castro and Pinero have broken away as they're side by side. And Pinero takes the lead here. I think Castro's just happy to hold in and just dip back in as they're 2 by 2. We're going to make it 3 wide. Yes, we are. We even might make it 4 wide potentially in the background there. Down the Camel Straight. No, we're not. We stop at 3, but it allows Let's Flavor back up into 3rd. Tabino goes from 6th to 4th. And, well, Lasky, after taking 3rd, is now to the back of this group in 6th.
I mean, this is just Spa being Spa, isn't it? As our production man said, it kind of suits it really well. This is just... Oh, I believe Pinero might have made some kind of mistake. He slipped right down the order, and he's dropped to 9th place. He's lost about 5 seconds there. And I was just about to mention, this is another thing with these kind of slower cars on this kind of track. You've kind of got everyone split up into different groups. You've got kind of 1st to about 7th or 8th, I'd say. And then you've got the battle for 10th place. You've just got a bunch of people battling it out for different places. And this is Jeff Frieser, who's all the way down in 36th place. And his car does not look very happy. As I don't think many people's cars are going to look very happy. Who's that going off in front of him? That's Login. Yeah. And he just nearly lost the car, and many people losing the car. That's, 3 people in about 2 corners who have nearly hit the wall. I believe one of them actually did.
Okay, yeah, that was Bradford Gould, I think. Yeah, look at that right side of the car. Looking very bruised and battered. I think that may even be a pullover and retirement potentially for the American. You know, well, look at that. He can't even make the double left half that is poo on. And he's not even going at full chat either. Meanwhile, back up through the field here for Vini. Just losing a bit of progress right now. That's Overstreet and Gardini ahead of us. For Vini, one of the drivers who's really struggled here. Been a bit bullied in these opening stages. He's dropped 6 places. Finds himself now down in 13th. And they were starting to bunch up this group with that sort of best of the rest battle starting with a less flavor at 3rd. But it looks like they've all spaced out. Oh, I can hear someone spinning in the background. Oh, yes, I can. Who's that? Well, that's Simon Mayer going around.
Yeah, I could hear that as well. Just off in the distance, you could just hear this tyre screeching of and just a couple people. He's actually coming to the pit lane as well. So, yeah, I don't know if he had damage there. I don't think he hit a wall when he spun. But, yeah, coming into the pit lane is Simon Mayer. And this is Plaver trying to grab back 3rd place and pulled out of the slipstream very, very late there. Nearly run into the back of Tabino. And also we have a change of the lead at the front between Castro and Pinero as they try and race away from this little group. But Plaver moves himself back up into 3rd as they try and chase down the front 2 once again behind. They've got Gory and Tabino going nearly side by side. I don't really see people going side by side often through these little technical corners through this middle part of Spa. But hey ho, they can do it, and they are. Got through there cleanly. And of course, we've got battles as well going on for 10th, 11th, and 12th and 13th. And yeah, like I said yesterday when we were doing 3.5, Tim, it's kind of wherever you look, you've got some kind of battle there as Andrew Love goes very, very wide there.
Hello, Gory. Where's this come from? This suddenly rich vein of form you've had in the last few rounds. Fastest lap of the race last time around. He's up 6 places into 4th. Hunt and Plaver only just in front of him and really just dragged himself up into this battle that he was not involved in. What, a couple of laps ago. Astounding stuff from the Italian. Absolutely ripping up trees right now. Making some progress there. But yeah, you should say, I mean, it's the perennial weekend warriors. Wherever you look, there's battles plenty, and there's even people making it 25 spots, isn't there, Andres Bertoni? That's how you do it, Aaron. 12.5 minutes, well, 13 minutes, in fact, into this race. 25 spots. That's nearly a place gained every 30 seconds.
I mean, he's just doing it well, isn't he? I mean, that's what you get here at Spa. You can just take the opportunities that are given to you and just pass everyone as he's doing at the moment. And I'm sure he will probably gain a few more positions over the course of these next, I'd say about...
Don't you worry, Aaron. If there's anything we all know about Andres Bertoni and the flying Uruguayan is that he will gain plenty more places. It will make that 30.
Here's one.
Yeah, there you go. There's 26. Luca Leone, the latest car. And he's doing it with a bit of front right damage as well, just for good measure. And normally he's able to fuel save quite a bit while doing this. Always fascinating to see him come through the field. Of course, the drivers do have to take a pit stop during the race. So you say about Simon May, I mean, he came in on about 11 minutes, so he will get home on the additional fuel that he's put in, but definitely not as... I wouldn't want to be stopping that early normally with the Brit. Unfortunately for him, but it joins a big cluster of big names all the way down there. Alan McCain into the pits early on. There's a spinner in the background. Phil Berry comes into the pits too. Well, I mean, out of position. Jim Brewster, well, he's only gained 2 places. I was Gary Walbot. Now, Gary Walbot was up 11 spots even after losing about 5 with that spin. That tells you everything you need to know about what's been happening here today. So Josh Justice into the pits as well. Meanwhile, up front, well, for these lot all going at one another yet again. Gardini versus Salmon, and well, Gardini just ahead. And now Overstreet's trying to stick her nose in where, well, certainly Salmon and Gardini do not want it whatsoever. So we're down from the helicopter, coming down into Bruxelles. Yet again, they on the attack at one another. Salmon trying to get up the inside of Gardini.
Yeah, this is again the proof of people going side by side at any opportunity they can, and people taking those opportunities with a fist or two, and it's amazing to watch these guys battle. And maybe I should do more of these weekend wars because I'm quite enjoying this, to be honest. It's so much fun to watch these guys just throw it at each other and go wheel to wheel, as Panera and Castro just still pulling away from the guys behind, and they're battling, but sort of smartly. They're kind of using each other's slipstream to their advantage. They've got about a 3-second gap to the little group that they've got battling for the podium right now. And well, if they can keep this up until the end of the race, it might only be a 2-way battle for the lead. But hey, it's better than no battle for the lead.
Well, as we've seen, especially last season from Marco Panero, just absolutely dominated. Found something with the car that nobody else could find. But this season, when we've had Castro, it's certainly between himself and Panero. A lot of the time is looking back from the last play, but that's Paolo Gori behind us, and Yatabino and Kane J. Lasky, you can see just in the background there. So they make it through the bus stop chicane. And well, this is a brawling battle for that last place on the podium now, viewers. Just keep half an eye on the car positioned in 24th. That's Simon Mayer. He is the benchmark because he is the highest of drivers who have pitted so far. I mean, he's got some big names behind him. McCain, Wood, Gradwell, Brewster, Green, Andalo, Fritcher, Dantas, Gould, Batley. I mean, they're all stacking up and they've all been caught up in issues as Bobby West heads into the pits from 7th place. Well, a fair few drivers going earlier, and I'm not sure with the power of the slipstream, which we saw it in qualifying, where Castro and Plava worked together and worked their magic, is that I think you need to stick with these battles rather than dipping in as we go 3 wide down the camel straight there. And in fact, Yatabino splits apart Gori and Plava and says, thank you very much, I'm taking 3rd, I'm taking control of this, because Castro and Panero are getting away, and we need to get after them.
Yeah, they really need to get a move on and just start working together a bit more smartly, like they did just then, not intentionally, but they just need to be a bit more smart with their slipstream. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying about the pit stops. You honestly, at some tracks where you might lose a bit of time from following other cars and the slipstream isn't too powerful, you probably want to come into the pits so you can have some clean air, you can drive all by yourself, set some good consistent lap times, and maybe overtake some of the people that come into the pits a bit later. But yeah, like you say, pitting early on, you've got to put more fuel in. You're getting more time into the pit lane. And at the same time, you're losing time to the people who are still staying out. 1, saving fuel in the slipstream, and 2, also gaining time in the slipstream anyway. So, yeah, it's I definitely say the people who are going long into this first stint are most likely going to come out on top, as whoever we cut away from there just got very sideways. And hopefully they kept it on track. But here's the battle for 30th place. And you can see how much time people are losing in the pit lane. And I'm definitely with you, Tim. I think whoever's going longest is going to gain the most out of this.
I mean, as long as if you can come in with someone's slipstream, I think you'll be okay. But if you don't, I mean, Bobby West is looking okay at the moment, so he's the highest of everyone who has pitted. He's come out in 19th position. There he is. Now, he's got Paul Jackson, who qualified out of position, hence why he's up 20 spots into 18th now. So, I mean, Paul's not no slouch. West is probably slightly quicker, but he's got someone who he can work with there. However, this is the big thing. Jeff Wubka, who's next on track, is some 7 seconds up the road. And I think that's what could end up hurting West. But then if West was carrying a bit of damage, of course, one fast repair available to all of our drivers here in Weekend Warriors. So, I don't know. It's a tricky conundrum, isn't it? Do you, don't you? What's going to work out the quicker? Do you come in early, don't have anyone to slipstream with, but you get your fast repair done, or do you hang on in there for dear life and hope you don't lose too much time? Talking of being by yourself, all by himself there, up 23 spots is Adam Bradshaw in 14th. Andrea Favini is headed into the pits, so be interested to see where he comes out in amongst West. I can see it's all kicking off again up front, and there we go. Castro ahead of Panero, and Plaver and Gory have got back past Tabino, who, well, stormed past the pair of them at this time last lap.
Yeah, this little group behind these two are slowly starting to gain back the time that they had lost, but they really do need to kick it up a notch and go a little bit faster if they want any chance of fighting for the win today, as Castro and Panero are both working relatively well with each other, but this battle for 10th place is still going on, and it probably will do right until the end of these 40 minutes, and yeah, I still think when at this point we're just kind of waiting for everyone to come in for their first pit stops and just wait and see who's gained the most, because I think the field will be fairly muddled up when all of the pit stops are completed, and we'll have a completely different order than we do at the moment. And well, I'm very eagerly anticipating that.
Same here. Same here. It's going to be fascinating to see how this one plays out here on Apex Racing TV. Yeah, again, another classic here on Weekend Warriors on Super Sunday. We had it earlier on the Formula 4s from Brands Hatch. That was an enthralling race. Well, guess what? The SRFs have picked up where they've left off and are really, really shining the candle right now for this classic car. This absolute classic track as we on board with Lasky. Gory there just in front of us, allowing Tabino through. Plaver still leading this group. As I said, they are just falling behind a little bit right now. Still in touch, still, you know, they can still see those top two, Castro and Panero. But where they've had a little bit more balance, tried to get interchange with one another and slipstream, it's a lacking of pace elsewhere in the track that's allowed Castro and Panero just to keep away from them, prevent being brought into the clutches of them. But I suppose this is the advantage of Spa, isn't it? With a massive track like this, is that you're not going to come up across back markers that you could trip up over.
Yeah, that's definitely, and even if you do, to be honest, there's plenty of room to get past them, and yeah, back markers aren't really that big of an issue around here, which just makes the racing even better, as we've got Tabino right on the back of Plaver, and hopefully they're going to work together to try and catch up to the pair of the guys in front, as yeah, Plaver's just left so vulnerable on this straight. You genuinely can't do anything. It's like DRS in Formula 1. You're just left utterly vulnerable. There's nothing you can do. And they have gained a little bit more time there on the two leaders, about a 1/10 of a second, as they might have the advantage in terms of slipstream, as they've got the double slipstream, the triple slipstream even, so they can get a bit more overspeed than Panero and Castro. And I'm thoroughly enthralled in this battle for the top 6 right now, because they could catch up. We could have a 6-car battle for the lead. And well, here's hoping, but we might have to wait until all the pit stops are done and finished before we get anywhere close to that kind of battling going on.
And talking to those pit stops, Aaron, Bobby West still obviously leading the drivers that have pitted so far. He's in 16th. Everyone above him yet to stop. Well, never has Paul Jackson or Gary Warbolt. They're 17th and 18th respectively for those two. Other than that, everyone else has pitted. Oh, the City Sergei Sentiv He's well down, caught up in an earlier on accident, and that's why he is well down through the field, but still yet to pit. To see Jason Green, another driver well out of position, caught up in that earlier on incident. Tom Gradwell and the Richard Brewster are the old big names that have lost out dearly here. Will have a little bit of adjustment due to the pit stops, but not too much after their incidents costing all of them really dearly. In fact, Gradwell only stationary for 7 seconds, so I get the feeling he does not have enough fuel on board to get him to the end. Having stopped all the way back on lap 1, so he will need to stop again and will tumble further down through the order, the 909 machine there. As looking further up for the field, it's just settled down a little bit, but this is a scary moment because you know full well it's all going to kick off any moment. And in fact, look at that, we're 24.5 minutes into this race. Over the course of the next 5 minutes, the next 2 laps realistically, you're going to see the rest of the field pit. How will it pan out for them, as Gibson looks like he's won the 15 spots that he's claimed so far, as Rudenev just behind him there, looking to move up. Well, 18 spots so far this race. Doesn't get it done, though, into the bus stop. There's still plenty. Well, this is the weird one, isn't it, though, really, Aaron? It's not the place that you want to be making the move because, well, you know you've got more laps to come. It's actually better to not do the move there, as Gory, well, there you go. A nice little free wide there, and a dab of the brakes down the middle of the Kemmel Straight. You don't see that very often, do you?
No, not at all, and that's the trouble that you get with this awkward kind of slipstream train. But they are gaining, crucially, on the guys ahead of them again. This time around, they've gained around 3 or 4 tenths on them. So I think they've all sort of realised now, yeah, we've got to work together and just get... we need to gain time. We need to do this now and stop fighting, which I believe they've all kind of figured out and all very smartly just playing into each other's hands. And I believe Lasky might be saving a bit more than the 3 people in front of him. He's not really gone for any overtakes. He's just sat at the back and, yeah, I mean, fuel saving as much as you can, probably the best way to go in this kind of slipstream fest that we've got at the moment, as you can save just a huge chunk of fuel, because down that Kemmel Straight, you can be on half throttle, maybe even a quarter throttle if you have that much overspeed, and you're just saving so much fuel. As well, that's the best way to save fuel in iRacing, is realistically how much throttle you're putting on, and well, Lasky might actually jump ahead of the guys ahead of him in the pit lane.
And if he does, it's just going to shrink that gap between, wow, the top 2 and this little gaggle here that we can see on your cameras right now. Well, I mean, look at that. They've lost about half a second this lap. This gap had come down to about 1.7 seconds. So it's now up to 2.2. 2.3, so you can see where Castro and Panero are much stronger through that middle part of the track. As there goes Gory up into 3rd. Plaver tucking back in behind him as Gory runs it in very wide there on the exit out of Blanchimont. In fact, it's running, well, it looked like he'd run it in a bit too deep. Gets away with it though, does the Italian. You see where it ebbs and flows, can't you? Look, because the gap, they've just taken 2 tenths out of them. So let's go 3 wide there. Not sure this is the best one move, guys, if you want to try and catch up, as Plaver looks for a bit of a move and tucks back in again once more. This is going to ebb and flow, isn't it? Castro's into the pits, so comes Glory and Plaver. There you go. This is defining, isn't it, Aaron? Because now Panero, nobody's a slipstream, but Lasky has got Tabino for company, and is Panero now just a sitting duck?
He might just be, but this is going to get really interesting. And this is the best part of the race, where I don't know who's going to lead this race over the next lap or 2. And I believe these guys will probably come in at the end of this lap. And if they don't, then they've done some major fuel saving and done a fantastic job at that to do it. And Panero, Lasky and Tabino all doing a pretty good job there. And I have no doubt that they most likely will come into the pits. They will have to fill up less. And yeah, that might be the advantage that they need to get ahead of everyone that just pit. And well, who knows who's going to be leading this race? Is it going to be Panero? Is it going to be Castro? Or is it going to be Plaver? Is it going to be somebody else completely unrelated? Who knows what we're going to see over these next few laps? But Tim, I can't wait for it.
Well, Plaver's suffered big time, so he stationary for 15 seconds. Castro only stationary for 11, Gory stationary for 13, so that splits up Gory and Plaver, who are all over one another. Castro's got a bit more of a jump. In fact, he's 5 seconds ahead of Gory. Oh, I don't know, Aaron. I do not know. And sponsored by Texaco is Castro. And maybe that's just that Texaco fuel that he's put in there, the virtual version, is what's giving that great mileage here today at Spa. As Pinero just coming through the back of the circuit, through Stavolo, up towards Blanchimont now. Tabino and Lasky, what are they doing? Well, the gap, if anything, is starting to shrink a little bit, and this is where it's really shrinking. It's down these long straightaways where they're working together to close it in, to reel in the Italian. But it all comes down to pit strategy. I just get that feeling. And have they done enough to close that gap to Castro, who's been all by himself since the round of pit stops? To the bus stop they come. Not long to find out if anyone's going to be pitting on this lap. So there is Pinero ahead of him, just starting to come upon a few back markers. That will be Accentive and Josh Justice. Looks like Accentive yet to stop, so that's why he's he's had a bit of a bad race by his own standards. Normally see him around the midfield, and Pinero, he's in. He comes in, so does Accentive. So does Lasky and Tabino. Yes, they do. Line astern. So Gardini and Overstreet have surely got to be in this time around, as Overstreet pushing Gardini along the front straightaway there by the looks of things. Right. Any time now, Aaron. Who gets it?
Yeah, this is honestly just where you're kind of rubbing your hands together, just waiting for the likes of Castro, Gory, Rudenev and Plaver to just come round the last corner. And here comes Castro. He seems to have a really, really good stop compared to the guys behind him. And there goes Pinero. I honestly think it might be Castro who's going to jump this, but I just don't know. I think Castro is just coming up Air Rouge now. And there he is, and he got him. He's absolutely got him, and Lasky as well, coming out fairly cleanly. And Lasky has gained a bit of time on Pinero as well. But Gory, Plaver have both lost a huge chunk of time in the pits. Gory not as much, but Plaver lost 5 seconds. And yeah, I'm really surprised though. Just how well Castro's got into this. How was his pit stop like 3 seconds quicker than everyone else? I just don't know, but whatever he's done.
Well, yeah, there's a few drivers that have gone really, really short. I think they've looked at the clock and they've gambled on how long this race is going to go, Aaron. Because that's the thing, you know, it's not 1 or 2 laps. Somewhere like Lime Rock, where, you know, a couple of extra laps doesn't matter in terms of your fuel. It's minimal. Here at Spa, it's a much bigger chunk of your tank. And I think Castro has just gambled a little bit here. And so has Lasky. You know, they've both stationary for 11 seconds. In fact, who else is similar stop? So Adria Favini only 10.3. He's had the quickest stop of anyone, which just worry me a lot.
I just noticed that.
Gory.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I thought he might have lagged out or something. I'm not quite sure if it is just he just got deleted from the game. No, he just stopped. What on earth has happened to Gory? He's just given up. Oh, maybe because he went really wide through No Name there. Do you think he might have gotten a penalty or something for too many off tracks? I'm not sure. That's the only thing I can think of.
He has been pushing the track limits quite a bit. Maybe even a bit hardware issues potentially, but gutting for the Italian because he was on an absolute barnstormer of a race. I mean, yeah, he was a bit wide. He would have have picked up an X for that, and maybe there's a little bit of, do you know what? This is going to put me well out of contention. I've had enough. I just pulled the plug on it.
Yeah, that's really wild. I mean, my guess is that he just got a penalty for it, but I don't know. It's really, really weird.
And actually, in fact, someone else who's had another issue. He's been in the pits for 2 minutes now, is Andres Petoni, so something's happened to him. I do wonder if it's another driver falling foul of a similar sort of issue, which I think there's going to be a few here. Spa, very, very easy to pick up off tracks on around here as we see Overstreet, and that is Marnie just behind us, although get the feeling this is a move in the making and just about to get done here. So just building up to it. About to see on the brakes into it's the bus structure came. Do you get the feeling, Aaron?
It's it could happen. I mean, it's a fairly good opportunity. The bus stop is, of course, well known for being a fairly good overtaking opportunity. But yeah, this is what happened to Bertoni, and I'm very confused. Give me a second.
Well, I think I'm gonna guess speeding in the pits, maybe on entry. Either. I mean, he's out of the equation and a real shape. Or they runs very, very wide out of the source, and I think maybe that was like, well, do you know what? That's it. I've used all my off tracks up. I've picked up a penalty as well as needing to stop. I can't go around again because that's one of the issues. You know, you have to take your penalty first, and well, if you've got no fuel to get around the track again, then that's it. Completely and utterly destroys your races. Meanwhile, there is Castro out in front, 1.1 seconds ahead of absolutely everyone and absolutely flying right now. Lasky into third, but oddly not really made that much of an impression on Pinheiro. Just having a couple of technical difficulties right now. There we go. There we go. Back into the equation. Just like Pinheiro, I'll do the Castro. 9/10 behind. And closing. And now in the slipstream. And Castro, after all that ingenious pit strategy, well, comes down to this. Comes down to what's going to be the... not quite the penultimate lap. Actually, no, I think it... oh, this is going to be the penultimate lap. Yes, it is, isn't it? It is. So, not this time, but next time it will be white flag. It will be... well,
Yeah.
they all... that's how much they're pushing. You know, just off tracks to burn, and they're utilising them there plenty.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You've got the opportunity to, so hell, I mean, you've got a few off tracks. We've only got, as you say, 2 laps to go. And a little bit of cheesing the rules there, but honestly, it's fair game, isn't it? You've got the opportunity to do it, and Pinheiro really wants to catch up to Castro, and now I think he really is. So Castro should have put the foot down a bit more when he had that gap when he came out the pits, but he's just completely fallen foul, and now Pinheiro's only half a second back. So this last lap could get really, really interesting if Pinheiro can keep on the back of the 73 in front of him.
Yeah, we see how close it is between so many of our drivers as McCain eventually getting past Gardini there. 2-1-2 flying down the Kemmel straight. Ahead of them is Salmon and Love, who are inseparable still. Coming through Lacombe there. So there is so Favini even. Overstreet still tucked up just behind Andrea, the Swede. They've got Marnie just them. So Marnie leading Masters. Love is second in class, with third in class being Andrew Bradshaw, up 16 places. So he's had an astounding result. Looking strong for that third place in Masters. As for Spec 2, well, that is going to go to Alan McCain, currently leading that class at 9 spots into 13th. Second is Phil Berry, third Ian Gibson. So Gibson involved in the spin earlier on, had a bit of an instance, so done well to recover to that one.
Yeah, this is what you love to see in fairly long races like this where strategy is involved. You just get A bunch of drivers flicking up and down the order constantly throughout the race. And like I said, before the pit stops happened, we're going to get a completely different running order than what we had around, I'd say, 7 or 8 laps ago. Well, they come into the bus stop for the second to last time. And, well, they're not going to come around the final corner. They're coming around the penultimate corner. I'm not used to saying that at all. It's quite weird, this layout, but a bit of fun as well as they come down the back straight up to the final corner. Who's it going to be? Panero or Castro? Tim, I don't know. I don't think you know. And Castro's still got a few off tracks to burn. But this is the opportunity that Panero has been wanting for the last 40 minutes as the white flag is waved. We've got one more lap of racing here at Spa. Tim, who's your money on?
Your guess is as good as mine, my friend. Even now, so Panero catching on Castro, he'll go past, and Castro will be happy with that. Look, you see him just tucking back in again. I think that could be the place to be, but Panero, well, both of these two have been around the block, and they've come to blows already this season a couple of times. Now, it was netcode invoked, but even so, I mean, would they have had contact anyway all the way back in Interlagos a few rounds ago? Maybe, maybe not. We'll never truly know. Castro tucked up right behind Panero right now. And Castro invoking all of the knowledge and skills of his teammate, Gustavo Ariel, who we saw a couple of seasons ago, came in for a few races, absolutely smashed it. Of course, you will have seen him in the ESL R1 at the Games 8 Festival. The Furia, a Brazilian team. And Castro just needs to be calm and now needs to bide his time, wait for his moment, stay glued to the back of Panero. He won't force a mistake out of the Italian, but he needs to be ready to pounce. He needs to time that run to absolute perfection. Quarter of a second separates the pair of them as we come down. Not many corners left in this lap, but there's two big opportunities now. Bus stop and into La Source. And Castro knows that full well. He knows this place like the back of his hand. They head out of Stavolo up towards Blanchimont. Second fastest part of the circuit. Castro closing. He pulls alongside the rear free forward panel. He's going to go right round the outside of Blanchimont. A dab of the brakes from the Brazilian as they almost bang doors there. They run down towards the best stop chicane. Panero on driver's left of Castro. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Well, it's the Brazilian just as bad as he gets the car slowed up in time. Panero keeps his car alongside.
Contact!
He's
Panero.
Gone. Well, Castro goes, but Panero waits for him here. Is he going to have the move back? But Lasky's past Castro. And also, looks like Tabino's going to come past too. What does Panero do now? Well, he's got going again. But Castro, after going for the win, in the end, he's going to come home fourth. Well, we did not see that one coming, did we? And they come to blows again.
Honestly, I'm going to need a second look at that replay. But yeah, Panero wins across the line. Lasky gets second place. Tabino's third. And that's a podium I don't think anybody was expecting on that final lap. But Castro's ended up having to go to the pits. He's finished sixth. And yeah, wow. I'm not quite sure what we just witnessed there, Tim.
Well, we just witnessed the weekend warriors, Aaron. And, well, our producer Lewis saying, did he hit the incident point limit? Because if he did, I mean, well, yeah, well, as our producer right said in our ears, he would have got 4x for that last one, but so would have Panero. Where were they? I mean, we won't know until we get some classified results up here. Let's take a look through these final stages, Aaron. Nobody gave each other an inch whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, come we down into the bus stop, and yeah, we're going to need slow motion on this. And I did notice Castro did a little bit of a lock-up at the latter stages of this corner, and then coming into the second part of the bus stop, Panero sort of lost it in the middle of the corner and hit Castro. I felt like Castro maybe could have given, well, to be honest, they both could have given each other a bit more room. I think Panero might have either tried to slow down on purpose to see if Castro could be let back through. But wow, that was a very unexpected finish to this race.
You're going to see this one for another angle now. It's super slow, but I didn't spot that in live pictures, but yeah, you just saw that little bit of a wiggle there, where Panero just seemed to lose the rear end. This is on board from Castro's perspective. You can see just to the left-hand side of your screen just how close Panero was, and they made it through, and then that's the moment there that he loses it, and then careers back across into the side of Castro, who can do nothing to do, well, whatsoever to try and save this one. Wow. I'm fascinated to see these results, because I mean, Castro in the end looking like he was sick. Pretty slow down. So here's on board with Marco Panero's perspective. So I mean, wow, just enough space, and there you go. Just looked up a little bit and then lost the rear. Well, on board with him, it doesn't look as much, does it? But that first shot we saw, he was definitely losing the rear.
Honestly, I just think they both should have left each other a bit more room. Like, Panero had a bit more space on the inside to use a bit more of the curb, and Castro had a lot more track on the outside, but of course wanted to get the best exit he could. So I'm gonna say that's more a racing incident than anything. It's kind of they both just didn't give each other enough room and sort of just merged towards each other. Panero didn't seem to lose it as much as he did on the outboard shot, and he looked pretty much under control of his car. So yeah, I'm just going to put it down to racing, and yeah, they were just racing each other really, really hard for the win. And yeah, Castro, I just realized, yeah, he's completely lost it. Let me quickly have a look where he finished. He's finished down in 22nd, Tim.
There you go. There you go. That confirms. Yes, he has, hasn't he? As everyone's crossed the line now. Yeah, that last incident is enough to just push him over the edge and cause that penalty. So Panero wins. Lasky second, Tabino third. Plaver, West, Panero, Yugmani winning the Masters. I see he's standing by. We'll have a quick word with him very, very shortly. Over Stuart for eighth. Then it's Favini. Salmon on his debut. Great to finish inside the top 10 for the Canadian. Love, who was second in class. Then we got Gardini, McCain winner in Spec 2, Leone, the Vaisluzu Berry, Fritcher Green, and who have we got next? We have got Dan Wood, Aaron Bradshaw ran out your top 20, and then Gibson, Castro in the end, all the way down in 22nd because of that penalty. Jim Brewster, Rudenev, and Darlow, Woodcock, Dantas Jackson in 28th. 29th, we had Gary Walbot, Gianni Long in 30th, if my records are correct, yes. Then Gradwell, Mitchell, Gould, Pia, Justice, last driver on the lead lap. Then it was Adrian, Batley, Accentive, Gory, who, well, gutting for him, Batoni, Carter, Mayer, and Doty, who sadly retired all the way back on lap 2. Yugmani joins us now in the commentary box. Yug, I mean, well, those opening laps, my friend, wow. Just wow. I mean, how did you manage to stay alive in that one? Because you looked like you were completely and utterly boxed in.
Honestly, I just closed my eyes.
Yes, I think that's the only way you could survive that sort of situation. You know, drivers left, right, centre around you, surrounded by them. But I mean, in terms of the strategy here today, ever worried about that it was going to go one lap extra, or do you think you had it pretty much nailed on? I see you were stationary for about a 13-second stop, which is pretty much average based on everyone else around you.
Yeah, I thought so because I didn't fuel self as usual. I was throttling 100% all the time. Strategy-wise, I mean, Spa is a draft track, a huge draft track, actually. Everybody can stay behind in your draft and can pass you all the time. That slows you down. That needs a lot of fuel as well, so not much of a strategy, just staying alive, actually. That's what I wanted to do. Staying alive and having fun and just finish the race.
Well, even in the end, another victory in say another victory in class. It's just so used to saying it. That's why. But this season really hasn't quite been like that for you. Bit of shame, but one of those things. Well, apologies. No, we've already had 2 wins this season. all the way back in Red Bull Ring and Phillip Island. Oh yeah, that was a cracker at Phillip Island.
Yeah,
Um,
don't remind me on that. I think I had not a good race for a while.
No, it did go downhill for quite a few races, but back to the top here in Spa as after a bit of a 5-round hiatus from the podium. So great to have you back. Congratulations on that. And well, we'll see you, I'd imagine, next week at Snetterton.
Yes, you're gonna see me there driving. I don't know how I'm gonna end up, but as usual, I'm trying it. That's
Yeah.
all I can do.
Well, it's boom or bust, all or nothing at the moment. It seems to be for you, York. So hopefully, it's more of the all and less of the nothing. So York Marnie, there, your winner here today in the Masters category. But sadly, that's all we have got time for here today. To wrap things up for the double header of Weekend Warriors on Super Sunday on Apex Racing TV, it was a cracker at Brands Hatch in the Formula Fords. We ran things off here at Spa in the Ford Spec races, and well, they did not fail to deliver. The battle for the victory came down to the final corners in both. That's why we love the Weekend Warriors. Thanks very much for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Aaron Smith and Lewis Wright. We'll see you in a week's time when the Weekend Warrior returns here on Apex Racing TV.